Hello and welcome to Scarlet Serpent readings. Thank you so much for joining me in this collective mini reading. This reading is going to be on a message from a difficult person's higher self. So let me take a look at this real quick. Potential trigger warning, and I just want to mention this isn't really an excuse for disrespectful or bad behavior in general from another person, but potentially bringing through like an explanation or another perspective. And again, that's a message from the higher self of a difficult person that you're dealing with at this time. Could be anyone, friend, family, coworker, etc. And of course, I want to thank all of you who support my channel. I love you guys. You're amazing. And for those of you just stopping by, welcome. I hope this reading resonates and that you subscribe to the channel. Okay, so let's get on to it. What is a message from the higher self of a difficult person? Ten of Swords. I guess that would make sense. The Hermit. What is their message? Okay, I'm just going to take this one. And I guess since that one's on camera, I'll put it there as well. So yeah, we have the Ten of Swords. Ten of Swords, the Hermit, the Empress, and the Seven of Cups. So it's interesting that I kind of feel a lot of Scorpio energy from this person, even though there really isn't. I mean, there's only one Scorpio card, but this snake here is interesting. I do feel as though this person had potentially a difficult relationship with their mother figure, and they had a distant father, a father that wasn't really present in their childhood. Potentially a death in the family as well. And that's kind of what's influencing their difficult behavior, is a disconnect from their heart, a disconnect from people in general, and almost a fear of connecting because they think that they're going to lose whatever connection, whatever friendship anyway, that it's not lasting. So it's like, why bother being a decent person when they're just going to move on and they don't want to have their heart broken. It's almost like an avoidance in that way. And there's also, if this is a relationship, a person, you know, maybe an ex or a current relationship partner or something like that, this card is standing out a little bit, and there's always options, so there's no need to commit to one person just because I'll just go to the next one and go to the next one and go to the next one. But of course karma eventually catches up, and when they do fall in love, they'll get a taste of that heartbreak that they've been causing. If there's anything else here. Yeah, this is a very strong card. In terms of their approach, it's kind of like, I get backstabbing here as well. I know that's not really what the Ten of Swords is supposed to be, but I do feel it here. Well, I guess the imagery in the Ten of Swords is backstabbing, but I usually get like Seven of Swords for that as well. But here's distinctly like just cleaning up. Yeah. Kind of, they're really protective of their energy, and they feel that the easiest way to defend themselves is to kind of be mean, honestly, like condescending, or what do you call it when you're passive aggressive. Which I personally have no patience for that. Like, just say it. I guess it's just the New Yorker within me, but it's like, just spit it out. I don't, and I think they might do that as well. They have this kind of like, this attitude of, they think they're smart, and they have a roundabout way of being, and it has to do with distance, right? Someone who will have a problem with you or something like that, It doesn't necessarily have to be in an attitude way, like a nasty way, but they'll just tell you out of respect and out of confidence in themselves. It takes confidence to say things like that, to be like, hey, you know what, I don't appreciate this and this, or I don't, whatever. But they'll tiptoe around it because they're not really confident in who they are. Let's clarify these cards. What is this? Okay, so we have the the 8 of Cups here. Well, that really ties nicely to what I was saying as far as being distant and like moving away. This is the card of Pisces, right? I think it might be Saturn actually. But moving away from situations that aren't really emotionally connected to the person. In this case, since there is no emotional connection, they're just moving and ending. They don't hold on to relationships very well. And again, the root of that is, I believe, it just feels strongly that it has to do with that energy being passed down from their parents, if not parents, then ancestors, or just friendships growing up for this person. But it really feels like parents. I mean, they're not even facing each other. One's facing the other way, one's looking directly. And it is a nice, the Empress isn't in reverse here, but I don't know, it just feels like a distorted view of the Empress. Almost a little high on themselves in a way for this pile. And I get that because of the Serpent year. Obviously, given the name of my channel, I don't consider serpents to be a inherently negative, being or anything like that. But here it feels different just because of the nature of the reading. And there's this insecurity and dishonesty and a distorted view again of probably a female figure or male figure or both, but distinctly what it means to be nice. It's almost like it costs them something and they don't want to invest in being, honest and upfront about whatever it is. They're just afraid of that. They're afraid of loving. And that's what this is here for. A detachment. And really, it's like they're at a stage where they could transform into really loving people, but they're afraid to. Because the people that they've loved moved away from them early on. People they loved just kind of vanished, and they're like, well, that doesn't make sense. So why am I going to love anyone else? We have the 8 of Pentacles. That would indicate to me maybe they're doing some sort of shadow work, even if they don't know it, that they're kind of reflecting upon themselves, with Virgo showing up twice, really. At least I think this is Virgo. Oh well. Anyway, that's the energy I'm getting, is distinctly Virgo here. Maybe they are people or this is a person who overworks just to avoid social gatherings. There's an avoidance energy here. But that's where that comes from. Like if this person likes to place work upon you with the assumption that, just being productive is good and this and that, I think, if you feel as though this person is trying to shove tasks upon you, that's probably like the background of what's happening there, is that they just don't want to have the time and space to sit with themselves or connect with people. We have the Knight of Hearts. There is this like sliver of hope, I guess. This is kind of like someone coming in, the Empress, maybe like a mother figure coming back, or maybe that would cause a shift within them, is receiving this kind of love and compassion, even if they are distant, like to keep receiving it. I think it would change them at a very deep level. There is a lot of the heart energy, a lot of cups here. I'm going to clarify this card actually, please. The Devil. Really interesting. Yeah, so I think that clarifies quite well. I don't know if I would say nicely, but their view on love, on people coming in with good intentions, is that it's binding, and that if they give themselves up in that way, that if they decide to love them fully, that eventually they'll just move on and kind of break this person's heart again. So they're extremely defensive and detached for that reason, especially with the chains being here. Interesting with the imagery that there's a third eye connection between the devil and these two beings, and there is that same third eye coming from the Empress. There's something about, I don't know, even an unbalanced mother figure that was present and again distorted, caused ripples upon this person's reality. And because they didn't have the balance of the father figure, they're just extra cautious of what it means to love. I wouldn't be surprised if their mother was overbearing, and that's kind of why they don't want to connect with anyone. That's why they might be, well, yeah, difficult. And we have the Tower underneath, the Seven of Cups. This for me feels like this idea of having all these options and being able to get away with being, disconnected, it's not going to last. I think there's an inevitability that they're going to find someone, and it's just going to, take them off their high horse. It's going to force them to connect with the heart and force them to expose that side of them and to actually love in that way. But they do see it as unstable. There's a lot of unstable energy here. There's a lot of, and I guess that wouldn't be surprising, right? Given the nature of the reading, but that's where that comes from. I think what the higher self of this difficult person is trying to say is that there's, of course, a reason for it. And it's not to excuse it, but it's very deeply rooted in the psyche of this person. And that's going to take kind of healing on their end, and they'll go out of their way to try and destroy other people's hearts. We have, an ending card here. We have a card of endings here. We have the Devil. There's a lot of this it's almost like they're trying to make other people feel the way that they do. We have the Nature card, which is an interesting, oracle. I wouldn't expect. Maybe they don't feel this way when they're outside, and maybe they have a longing to boundaries. Well, this makes more sense, I think, with what's going on. This is their way of setting boundaries, is being distant, not attaching emotionally. I think the video might have stopped, but I'm almost done. This has to do with the way they set boundaries, protecting their heart, not attaching emotionally, trying to undermine people for that. I think their solution to this, and your solution as well, is that if you do want to connect with this person, to do it in nature, away from a large amount of people, because I do think that in a more intimate setting, like one-on-one, they do a little better in being a decent person. It's almost like they might want to show that they're tough when there's a crowd around them, but when you isolate them, take them for a walk in the park or something like that, they'll feel more secure, and they'll subconsciously connect to that Empress energy of, oh, it's safe here. It's safe to open up a little bit more. It's safe to understand that not every relationship leads to kind of this bondage in a way. Love is not a binding force, not in its positive aspect. So hopefully this reading was helpful. I know it could have been, a little difficult, maybe, potentially. But I hope to see you in my next pick a card reading or collective reading. Thank you for your time, and take care.